What's up, everyone? The brothers Lupica here with your In the Loop podcast, episode 3. Yours truly, Alex Lupica, joined by my older brother Chris and my younger brother Zach. Boys, what's going on?
What's going on, guys? I'm excited to be here. Big day.
Yeah, this is going to be the best one yet.
Hope everyone had a fun 4th of July weekend. Hopefully not as fun as Johnny Manziel's, but fun nonetheless. We've got a nice little program planned for you. Our first In the Loop mailbag. People from all over the nation sending in their questions that we will try to answer with cutting wit. So, looking forward to that. But let's get right into the LeBron versation.
Oh, God.
Nowhere to start but with LeBron. So, I guess, Chris, the first question for you is, at this point, is the NBA offseason more interesting, more intriguing than the regular season?
I think it is. I think at this time around, I mean, it isn't always, but this time around it is. I think it's because basically in the NBA, when you're the best team on paper, usually that means you're the best team in the league. And these teams are about to change fundamentally on paper, potentially, with LeBron starting this whole process. And if he does go to Cleveland, it could be a seismic shift in the NBA, which could change everything next season. I think it gives fans hope that otherwise probably wouldn't have any.
Yeah, I think, Zach, the championships are now won and lost in the summertime. If you're not the San Antonio Spurs, you need to win a championship in the summer. And it appears that's what the Cavs are trying to do.
Yeah, I think that really started 4 years ago when LeBron made the infamous decision. And ever since then, the scope of the NBA has kind of changed because now teams, instead of just building up from where they started, guys realize that they have to go play with other great players in order to really succeed. And I think this summer is really the culmination of all that. And but I think that next season will be even more interesting than this offseason if LeBron does decide to go to Cleveland. I think it'll be one of the most exciting NBA seasons of all time.
See, Luke, Zach predicted when it kind of looked like the big three were sticking around, and they all opted out, and it kind of looked like they were all talking. It kind of looked like they were all going to, take the deals that were going to make this thing work in Miami. So Z-Luke predicted it. Is he going to be as insufferable a fan of the Cavs as he has been of the Heat over the past 4 years?
I don't know. One thing, first of all, my biggest concern at this point is that we've gotten ourselves so excited about the possibility of him going to Cleveland, Bosh going to Houston. It could all fall apart and be exactly the same, which would be really tough, I think, for everybody. Because it's so exciting, to just think about we enjoy as sports fans more what might be than what is, absolutely.
Yes.
So this gives us an opportunity to envision a future in which everything's different. With respect to Zach and the Cavs, I guess he becomes a huge Cavs fan, no doubt about it.
What's funny about this is that everybody has their hopes so high that he's going back to Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland fans do, but I think other people who are interested in the NBA prefer him to go back. I think it's a more interesting story.
No way. I think NBA fans at large would like him to see him back in Cleveland.
That's what I said.
Oh.
Little miscommunication there between the boys. Don't worry about it. We're just chopping it up, guys.
Sorry.
Don't relax. We're just chopping it up here. I think by and large everyone is like a Cleveland fan next year. I think that it would be if Cleveland played San Antonio next year, everyone's rooting for Cleveland in the finals, right?
Is it kind of just like we just forget that he went, all is forgiven? It's kind of like, some guy has an affair for 4 years and you just kind of sweep it under the rug. That's going to be a weird thing for his legacy, don't you think? He starts in Cleveland, he has 4 years in Miami, and then he goes back. It's just, you don't see that.
Yeah, well, I think that his legacy, if he does go back, I think any successful, which I think he will be, I think we all think that he's going to have some level of success, we'll read that he left. He went to 4 straight titles, won 2, and then he came back to his hometown to mend what he did 4 years ago and bring them championships.
We forgive everything.
Yeah.
We forgive Tiger. We forgive Nelson Cruz, or the Baltimore Orioles fans sure do.
That's a weird reference to throw in right now.
I mean, but people are forgiven for things.
I'm surprised you know Nelson Cruz plays for the Orioles.
Plays for the Orioles.
But
Signed a one-year deal.
those two things are worse than what LeBron
That's
did.
what I'm getting at. And they're completely forgiven. I mean,
Winning takes care of everything.
Yeah, he comes back to Ohio, and nobody cares anymore that he left. Absolutely.
Okay, my other thing with this is that, like I was saying before, everybody's hopes are so high that he's going to go back to Cleveland. And he's going to end up looking, again, like the bad guy if he does go back to Miami in the eyes of Cleveland fans. But he hasn't even done anything.
No, I disagree with you 100%.
You don't think he's set himself up for for animosity,
No.
even by the
If
notion
LeBron
that he might go back?
If LeBron wanted to end this, he could end this immediately. He could say to all of his people, stop telling anyone that I'm going to Cleveland. Nobody's these are sources that he's allowed this story to get out. It's not just been made up.
He has no chance of stopping the story.
He
ESPN does 24/7
People are
coverage
saying,
on this.
yeah, but the narrative has shifted from he's probably going back to Miami to 85 to 90% chance. His agent Rich Paul is someone's out there. The story didn't create itself.
Does he like this stuff, Zach, do you think? Because I feel like he does. I feel like he likes the attention.
I don't know. I don't think he likes the idea that he's going to look like such a bad guy now if he doesn't go back to Cleveland.
He should step in.
But he's a free agent. You're allowed to look at your options like every other free agent is doing. But the fact that he's LeBron James causes it to be this whole.
I think LeBron James should know better at this point, given what happened 4 years ago. That leading on a fan base is especially Cleveland, and understanding the way that publicly the way these things play out. He should just, if he wants to end it, he says, my goal is to rework my deal with Miami, and that's what I'm focused on right now. I don't know where the Cleveland.
But what if
stuff's
he
coming
hasn't
from.
made up his mind?
Well, he shouldn't. I mean, it shouldn't be as hard of a decision, I don't think, as he's letting it appear to be.
Well, it's a pretty big decision for him.
Oh, okay. I like that. So here's my question for you, Zach. So 4 years ago, LeBron got destroyed for what happened, obviously, and rightfully so. We created, as Chris calls it, this television show about LeBron, and he kind of got killed for it. Do you think we're being kind of hypocritical as sports fans now because we're taking so much pleasure in watching it this time around?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting part of this because there's really no we want another decision at this point. People want to know
we
when
like
it's gonna,
it. We like it.
People
If he scheduled another decision in Greenwich, Connecticut, we would love it as sports fans, and yet we would kill him for it.
I want another decision. Tell us when it's going to be.
I like it better that we don't know when it's going to be, though. Because everyone's refreshing Twitter like an absolute madman.
Well, that's another piece of this I think is interesting. What is it going to be? Because Broussard, Stein, Penn.
My money's on big game Brian Windhorst.
We
tried to get Windhorst today, by the way.
They're all scratching and calling for this scoop. Is he going to be able to control the announcement, or is this going to get out somehow?
I say that he goes down to Brazil for the weekend for the World Cup Finals. Halftime, they have him out on the field, middle of the field, microphone in his hands. He rips off his suit. He's got a Cavs number 6 jersey on. I'm back, boys.
No one would enjoy hijacking the World Cup more than LeBron James.
I mean, he has for 2 weeks, so why not finish it with a bang?
I see him either doing something where it's very choreographed, where he makes a decision, or he just goes completely the way Kevin Durant did it when he signed his extension famously and just tweeted out, I'm re-signing. I think he might just put it up on his website. I'm coming home, or I'm going back to Miami, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, and people bring up MJ in '94, the press release, I'm back, and that was it. And you put what LeBron has done, last time around.
It was a different time, though.
Right.
Yeah, it was a different
fact.
time.
Way different.
It was a different time. Jordan definitely loves that narrative comparison. So the other thing is that I think people didn't have as big a problem with the decision, however bad it might have been, as they did with the parade after, and the not 5, not
really
6,
tough.
not 7.
Yeah, I really like that.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, when they said that the games were going to be easy and the only thing that was going to be hard is practice, that was hard to watch.
That's brutal,
Yeah,
dude.
that was really
That's
hard to watch.
brutal.
And it was just, so I don't know. I think obviously LeBron's not talking. I mean, he's making a huge effort to kind of stay underground throughout this, but I'm fascinated by it. And I've been refreshing Twitter all day. I can't wait.
Twitter is a big winner.
Yeah,
Huge.
when I'm not on Twitter for a period of 10 to 15 minutes, I freak out. I'm
Yeah,
like,
there's
oh my
an
God,
anxiety.
I miss it. Yeah.
Wait, but have you guys heard about the cop cars outside of his house in Akron?
No.
Very recent.
Why don't you break that here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not breaking anything,
Okay.
but that's been reported. There's also a guy in his yard on a golf cart who works there. He doesn't know anything.
That sounds solid.
There's a mob of
sounds
people
rock
outside his
solid.
house,
No,
right?
so there's 5 cop cars in his house in Akron. Do you think that means yes, he's staying in Miami and he doesn't want his house to get raided, or no, he's coming home and he doesn't want like a parade to overtake the home?
It's literally 50-50.
People aren't going to raid his house if he doesn't come there.
It got pretty ugly last time, dude. It got pretty ugly.
No casualties, though.
Were there 0?
0 casualties.
What is going through David Blatt's mind right now? This guy was, your boy, friend of the podcast, took Maccabi Tel Aviv to a title, and he's sitting in his house thinking, oh, man.
I mean, everyone. I mean, Kyrie Irving, Andrew Wiggins,
Anderson
Varejao.
Coaching in Israel to being, perhaps at the center of the universe in sports.
But, Zach, you're not a big Spo guy. You think this guy could easily fill the shoes of Spoelstra?
You love Blatt?
With no track record.
Yeah, sure. I think if he gets LeBron, he'll do a great job.
The other piece of this is the Kevin Love angle.
Yeah, that's floating out there.
I mean, it's a big part of it.
You got any sources on that?
Which I also predicted episode 1 of In the Loop, by the way. You guys remember that?
You're really taking a curtain call here early.
Yeah, well, we started episode 2 with you saying, everything's
Yeah, I
going
gave you a little
back.
credit. Don't, make a parade out of it before everything happens.
I said K-Love and LeBron to Cleveland. And now...
That's true. You're spiking the football before you get to the end zone, bro.
Now that truly... I mean, I think that makes it a lot more interesting. I think if there's some sort of agreement there, it makes the whole thing way more solid, because Wiggins is a highly regarded prospect, but nobody knows what he is, truly,
And the rumor is that Wiggins would be in the deal.
He'd have to be in the deal for Kevin Love.
Okay, if that doesn't go down, Zach, let's take a basketball angle.
Sure.
Who's more fit to win next year? Who's more fit to win in the long run?
I don't think either team is really that well fit to win next year.
What about the Eastern Conference?
I think whatever team he goes to is going to win the Eastern Conference.
I think we can all agree on that.
I think that I like the Cavs roster better, probably. I mean, Miami, you saw what happened last year. They went to the finals because they had to play nobody in the East, and they got absolutely smashed by the Spurs. And Danny Granger and Josh McRoberts just, I don't think, aren't good enough players to change that.
I love Josh McBob.
I think that they would still lose to a Western Conference team.
I'm kind of happy that those were the 2 deals that Riley made. I mean, we talk about the Hardo press conference.
I think Riley really overplayed his hand here with these guys.
Yeah.
Because I think he thought, okay, if these guys all take a slight discount, I'll be able to sign a Trevor Ariza, a Marcin Gortat, Pau Gasol, Kyle Lowry. We heard all those names. Those guys all signed for huge money. I mean, Gasol hasn't yet, but he's not. Luol Deng. None of those guys are taking $4 million deals to play for Miami.
And someone was floating rumors that they were close to getting Kyle Lowry, or they were at least in a position to sign him.
$12 million a year
They were
with Toronto.
not even close, and they end up with McRoberts and Granger.
That's kind of what makes me think that maybe his plan was to leave the whole time, and that's why he decided that he wanted to get a max deal, because he knew that if he got a max deal in Miami, that it wasn't really going to work.
I mean, even if he had taken a discount, though, one of the things here, one interesting side of this is that during the lockout, a lot of these owners, the way that they handled the lockout, they handled it in such a way that they could prevent super teams from existing. And you look, Miami's having a really hard time to try to make this work within the salary cap.
And yeah, I think it's interesting you brought up the CBA and everything like that, because Dan Gilbert was one of the owners that came out heavily against some of those provisions that would have allowed super teams from happening. He was also pretty tough to LeBron on the way out. Do you think that plays into this, like the jerseys being burned in the streets, Gilbert's letter, everything like that? Is that in LeBron's mind at all?
I think it does. I think it plays into it, but I'm not one of the people that thinks that he shouldn't go back because of that. Because if he did, because people say, Gilbert killed him, like the people in Cleveland burned his jerseys, which was only, I don't think that too many people were actually physically burning jerseys. But I think that it's even worse if he decides that, yes, he does want to go back to Cleveland, but then Dan Gilbert deters him from doing that. So I think that either way, he's not doing it for Dan Gilbert. He's doing it for himself, and he's doing it for the fans.
Yeah, I guess he never even has to speak to Dan Gilbert. Chris?
His relationship with Dan Gilbert is pretty, I don't think it's that relevant. I mean, I think that you'd obviously prefer to have him in a good spot with Gilbert. If anything, him coming back, Gilbert just has to kind of capitulate to whatever LeBron wants. So, I think it'll end up working out for both sides if he does want to come back. I don't think that that's going to be the deterrent. I think it's a basketball decision.
What would you do if you were LeBron, C-Loop?
I would go. It's hard not to be romantic about the idea of going back to Cleveland. I would go back to Cleveland. I still think that next season, I think Miami has a better chance to win the championship than Cleveland. But moving forward beyond that, Cleveland has more assets. They have younger players. They have a much longer window for success than Miami does.
So I think, regardless of where we think he should go, we can all agree that wherever he does go is going to be an immediate favorite to win the East.
One fascinating side of this, something that I was thinking about, if Cleveland doesn't get the number one pick, none of this is possible. Because without Wiggins in the equation, you don't have the ability to get Kevin Love. They don't have Wiggins. And what do they have, a 2% chance to win the lottery?
Yeah, it was low.
And another thing is if they hadn't missed so badly on Anthony Bennett last year, it almost makes this thing more of a slam dunk. Let's say they had Nerlens Noel or even Michael Carter-Williams, somebody like that. Then the roster looks even better from LeBron's side of things.
They've gotten very lucky. But for a front office that's taken a lot of heat over the last few years, they've also done a nice job of putting themselves in a position to get LeBron.
But it could be the most important draft lottery in the last 20 years if it lands you Wiggins and LeBron James.
Yeah. Can we just take a brutal Knicks look at this for a second and go as far back as amnestying Chauncey Billups? And if this Amare Stoudemire contract could somehow vanish, that they'd be in a position to team up LeBron and Carmelo in New York.
Well, I don't really understand how the Amari contract's going to vanish. What, they're going to trade it to the 76ers?
No, I'm saying if they had amnestied, if they had not amnestied Billups and waited and used it on Amare, we could be watching these two in New York next year. Does that hurt, Chris?
It hurts, but it's classic Knicks. They got the amnesty. I think that only two teams. I think it was Artest also got amnestied. But I think two teams have used the amnesty provision. The Knicks use it like 15 minutes after it existed.
Yeah, and a 10-year provision.
Yeah,
and
you can only use
this thing out.
Use it once every 10 years. They're like, that's exciting. Let's nail Billups. So that's a tough one.
All right, C-Loop, do you want to set up our next segment here related to LeBron? So, show staff and the three Lupica brothers, show staff being our man, handsome John Manley, we're talking about this LeBron stuff obviously a lot during the week. So what we started to talk about is LeBron James changes your franchise. As Zach said, whoever he goes to, he thinks is a favorite to win the Eastern Conference. So we just started to kind of expand that throughout professional and college sports as to who can join your team, whether it's a coach in college, a coach in the pros, or a player, just by walking in the door where you feel like now that we have this guy, we're a contender, not just next year, but moving forward. So our idea was the LeBron James decision draft. So we're taking salary out of it.
We'll say for the next couple years. I don't want to say the next 10 years because then it kind of makes things weird.
All right, let's keep it like 5 to 7-ish.
I was thinking 4 to whatever, like the LeBron length of the deal, maybe 4 to 5 years, something like that, where you just feel like, okay, we have this player. I now feel like my team is a contender no matter what, or this coach. In pro or college. So it's going to be snake draft style. We're each taking 4 people. Alex, you want to talk about how we came up with the order?
Yeah, we came up with the order. We're going in descending order of who had the most exciting weekend. So I'm going to go first. Mine was pretty boring. Zach, a little leg up. Chris was at Georgia every night in East Hampton until 5 a.m., so he's going to go last, clearly.
Psyched for the wraparound, though.
So I go number 1, boys. And it's not going to be a surprise. I'm taking King James, the best athlete on the planet, Zach, the biggest impact player, the best offensive player in the league, probably the best defensive player in the league. Just an absolute no doubt.
Side note, Alex and I are both going off of like power rankings that we have, like crossing people off so we can make our picks. Zach's just going just nothing in front of him, just right out of his head.
Top of the dome.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Just going right off the top of his head, making decisions. Although, I don't know, is there something on that phone other than texts?
No, just text.
Just Courtney Cox text? Shout out.
Well, I've been preparing all week because I thought I was going to get the number 1 pick. I took it easy this weekend, wanted LeBron, but that's fine.
We knew that was going to be, the order and how it was decided. Zach and I took it easy to put ourselves in a good position for the draft. Chris just went crazy because he can't help himself.
I wanted the wraparound.
Number 2. I'm going to go with my boy number 12, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, man. That's a bad pick.
I think
Such a bad pick.
I think that...
he was afraid one of us is going to take him just to troll.
Is it your pick or is it mine?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Break
go
it
ahead.
down for us.
I think that I think a quarterback is a very special position in sports. There's nothing quite like it. You look at the NFL the past 10 years, if you don't have a great quarterback, you can't win. Rodgers is up there with the elite quarterbacks with, Peyton and Tom Brady. But he's the youngest. I think he's the most athletic. You saw what the Packers did when he was hurt last year. I think he's going to have an MVP season, whatever team he's on. If you're starting from scratch, he gives you the best chance to win a Super Bowl.
All right, perfect. Now that that's out of the way, I'm going to go wraparound. I got Andrew Luck and Nick Saban. So
I love the Saban pick, and I'm mad you took him.
Saban is my guy 100%. So you look at Andrew Luck, 1-15, turns it around, playoffs 2 years in a row. Listening to Dilfer talk about him is actually uncomfortable. He's a phenomenal quarterback. He gives him a chance moving forward every single season. You'll expect to see the Colts at least contending for a Super Bowl moving forward. So really happy with that. Nick Saban, it goes without saying. I mean, there's no one that you can bring in. If Nick Saban had, for example, had he gone to Texas next year, we would have expected Texas to be in the national championship game within 2 to 3 years. And then every year after that, he's just that kind of guy, CEO of the program, the best coach. I mean, he's the best coach money can buy, I think, for what he brings to your program.
I think, first of all, I want to point something out. Clearly, listeners can tell the contrasting styles between my little brother, just going straight off the top, and Chris, who I don't know where you found the time to prepare all those notes.
He's got a spreadsheet
with that
over
weekend
there.
you had in the Hamptons. Yeah, I think Saban's great. He also has all the intangibles. He's got the hat he wears to practice. He's got the Weather Channel in the morning. He hates Gatorade baths. He's got the button that opens the door to his office because it's too big. That's a guy you want running your program. Okay, so I'm up.
No, you're not. I'm up.
Oh, shoot.
Snake draft.
At number 5. On the turnaround, I'm going to go ahead and take friend of the podcast, John Calipari.
Wow.
So you just took your 2 favorite figures in professional sports.
Couple of FOPs.
I thought Saban was a terrible pick with Calipari still on the board. I don't think...
Wow, fighting words.
We'll talk about that.
I think that a college basketball coach just has way more control over what he brings to the program. Calipari comes to Kentucky. They're 18-14 with Billy Gillispie. No future in sight. He comes in 1 year. You got John Wall. You got DeMarcus Cousins. You got Eric Bledsoe. He goes to the Elite Eight. Then he takes them to the national championship, or the Final Four, and then he wins the national championship. And then he's back in it last year. They're going to be great again next year. He did it with Memphis. He did it with UMass. He could do it with anybody. If you picking one guy to control your college basketball team, you're taking him.
Okay, like it. So you got 2 of your boys.
I'll come back to the Saban piece after this.
Okay, you got more on Saban?
No, I could go all day on Saban.
Okay, I'm taking another basketball player. I'm taking Kevin Durant. I don't think that you can really take a football player or coach this high just because of the impact one basketball player can have on a team. KD, only 25 years old. The best scorer in the NBA right now. I think when it's all said and done, he'll be looked at as the best scorer of all time in the NBA. He's, 6'10", 6'11", and he's going to be able to shoot forever. So I'm taking KD with my second pick, so I'll take LeBron and KD to the bank.
So now I have 2 picks in a row again.
No, it's Zach. Oh, no, I have another pick.
God, the snake draft is a struggle, guys.
so
It's confusing.
guys.
It's confusing.
It can be tough, depending.
Okay. So after the 2 best basketball players on earth, which are on my team, I'm taking Colin Kaepernick.
Wow.
As my third player.
Wow, he's not even on my list.
He's my QB, boys.
Wow, Kaepernick.
Tremendous playoff experience already. Has played well on the biggest stage in football. I think in a decade, we're going to look back at Kaepernick, the robot QB, as the prototype for what every NFL team is trying to do. So I'm taking Colin Kaepernick, boys. Z-Loop.
Okay, I'm up. I'm going to go ahead and take Anthony Davis. I think that there's nobody in basketball like him. I think LeBron and KD are first and second, but after that, I think it's Anthony Davis. I think he might go down as one of those guys that affects both sides of the ball more than anybody ever has. I think he's a Tim Duncan, but he's athletic and he can block shots like nobody else. I think that if he's on your team for the next 10 to 15 years, he's going to give you good shots at winning titles.
Okay.
All right, you want to rebut the Cal and Saban
Should we
argument?
wait till we're done, or should I just do it now? I mean, Saban's got national titles 03, 09, 11, 12. Projected number one next year. Other than one fluke play against Auburn, they're back in it this year. I mean, Cal has one title. Saban has 4. I just think it's very different because Cal constructs a different team every year, whereas Saban's building a program that's a sustainable, continuous thing. So it depends on what you like, but I think that what Saban brings to your program from a continuity standpoint is stronger than what anyone in college athletics does.
I think that I'm not arguing against Saban and what he's done. I think that just if you're starting from scratch, which is what we're doing.
So if you're just doing a one-year turnover?
Yeah.
Okay.
You take and you get Calipari, he's giving you superstars across the board. And if you're taking anybody else, you don't really know what you're. If you're taking Saban, you're not really sure what you're going to get out of your team. If you're taking Calipari, he's guaranteeing to get you 5 out of the top 25 prospects.
Yeah, I think if you're getting Saban, you know you're going to get to the national championship game within 3 years, and then probably a lot more after that. Anyway, so I got the wraparound. I'm going to go with
Your last 2 guys.
These are the last 2 guys that I get. Okay, so I'm going to go with. And I could argue either way. I'm going to go with Peyton Manning, and I'm going to go with Pete Carroll, even though I like Harbaugh more as a human being. I'm going to go with Peyton Manning. I mean, I think that he has, moving forward the next 4 to 5 years, Peyton is obviously on the decline. He's going to retire within that time frame, but you still look at what he did last year, the last 2 seasons, after coming back off the surgery, made the Broncos into a contender for the Super Bowl, got them to the Super Bowl, still setting all kinds of records, won another MVP. Carroll, the reason that I put him slightly ahead of Harbaugh, he does get the Super Bowl ring, he does have 2 national titles in college, and he's the general manager of the Seahawks team that, you know, for the next couple of years you have to feel like is going to be in the conversation for a Super Bowl every single season.
You better hope Peyton Manning better not retire after next year, dude.
Even if it was even if I only get him for 1 year, I know I'm giving myself a chance to win the Super Bowl.
All right. Zach, last guy.
Yeah, I was thinking about going college basketball coach again, just because I think that, you know, what they bring to their team is different than everybody else. But I'm going to go ahead and take. I'm pretty torn over here, boys. I'm going to take Drew Brees. I think he's got all the things that you just. I mean, he's not there with Peyton, I don't think, but he's right there. He's a little bit younger. He's got some more years in front of him. I think for the next 4 years, Brees gives you a chance to win. He runs a high-powered offense no matter what. He's got the Super Bowl. He's one of those elite guys, but he's just a little bit younger than, you know, Brady, who I could have taken. So I'm going with Drew Brees.
Yeah, I think that's a brutal pick.
You got one more, right?
Yeah, I got one more. I need a coach. I need someone to lead this squad.
I know what you're thinking.
I need a leader.
You need him in khakis?
I need him in a cutoff sweat.
Oh,
and I need,
no.
Yeah, I need
It's
Wild
not the
Bill
right answer.
Belichick, boys. I need Wild Bill. I think it's crazy to not take a coach that isn't Belichick
I think
in this situation.
Yeah.
One game, one guy to coach your football team for your life, and you're not taking Wild
That's not
Bill.
what we're talking about.
I'm just saying.
That's
Let's
not what
start
we're
there.
That's not
Let's
what we're
start
talking
there.
about. That's not the conversation.
Let's start there. When he took over the Patriots, the systematic building of that dynasty was all Belichick. Read David Halberstam's book, Education of a Coach, out there, any of you aspiring coaches.
Kids.
I think basketball coaches obviously just don't do enough for their team. He's underachieved by winning 3 Super Bowls. It could easily be 5, and I say that as a Giants fan. And if he wins 5, you know, we're talking about the greatest coach of all time.
Let me ask you
a
this.
couple bounces the ball.
Let me ask you this. I look at Belichick. I kind of wrote a little bit about this in my notes here. Belichick, Popovich, Tom Izzo, guys who have been in kind of one place most of their career. do you feel like Belichick taking another gig that he would have, do you anticipate the kind of success considering that he hasn't really switched around the way that some of these other guys have?
Yeah, I think you can take both sides of the argument, and I think Popovich is a good comparison just because they're architects of the system and they put cogs in a machine that produces. But I think that's the thing. I think these guys can implement their system anywhere and be successful.
See, I just don't like taking a pro coach there because I just don't think they have the same impact on their team that a college coach does. A college coach, you get to pick your players. If you're a coach in the NFL or in the NBA, you have to rely on the front office to put good guys around you.
Belichick is
he
making
controls
those decisions.
And
Listen,
I
not to
agree.
the same extent of college coaches.
Listen, I agree. I had Cal and I had Saban.
I'll tell
ahead
you
of
who's not nobody picked.
Yeah, I know
two
what you're
guys.
gonna say here.
I love Harbaugh. First of all, I mean what he did at Stanford, 2 NFC titles, 1 Super Bowl.
I mean,
in 3
he
years.
basically did what we're like theorizing about. You
About
know,
Belichick. I mean,
no, about Harbaugh. Like
Yeah.
Harbaugh actually put into practice what we're just like making up right now.
Yeah, he just went to the Niners, gave them credibility, brought them a new winning attitude. Got to the NFC Championship game that they probably should have won with Alex Smith at quarterback.
Yeah.
But I was going to say Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Urban Meyer's on my list. Or no, I don't have it like
Talk about one of the most underrated figures in sports over the last few years.
I think Tom Izzo's got to be in that conversation too.
He's another guy. It's just hard to say because he's been in one spot for so long. You know, Urban, 2 total losses in 2 years at Ohio State. Comes in, they don't lose a game. The next year he goes, a game away from. He had a perfect season at Utah. In 2004.
Yeah.
That's like Calipari. Calipari took UMass to the Final Four. He took Memphis to the national championship, allegedly.
Vacated.
And
love you, Cal.
Then he took Kentucky.
Literally, I love you.
Kentucky. He took from the. They were in the dump after Billy Gillespie, and he took them right back to the mountaintop.
So was Alabama before Saban got there. That's my guy, but
So, okay, let's recap quickly.
Yeah, let's recap who everybody had.
All right, Alex, LeBron, KD, kind of a sketchy pick with Kaepernick and Wild Bill
The
leading the squad.
Kaepernick pick
Listen, he's 25. I think he's awesome.
He's definitely great. He's definitely great.
All right. Don't jump on my pick. I know it's a little sleazy. Z-Loop, Aaron, who saw that coming, all of us. Coach Cal.
New girlfriend for Aaron.
Olivia Munn.
That a boy.
Yeah, good catch. So Rogers, Cal, Ant Davis, DeBrow, and Drew Brees. And Chris, Andrew Luck, Saban, Peyton Manning, and Pete Carroll. Really just a blue-collar, grinded-out squad.
I know. I wish I didn't have Carroll, honestly, and I had Jim Harbaugh kind of motivating the rest of the group, but Carroll's the general manager. You got to respect
Saban
him.
and Harbaugh on one squad.
That would be tough. Although Saban will be working with Lane Kiffin this season, which is going to be terrific.
Yeah, that's going to be good fodder. Okay, so that does it for our what guys you want coming in and making an impact on your franchise or college program.
That was a good draft.
That was a good draft, boys.
Good draft.
We'll
boys.
keep tabs. So moving on to the final segment of the show, and that is the first in the loop mailbag. So we kind of stole this from SVP and Russillo. Chris has watched all 80-some mailbags.
66.
60. You are a real freak.
So you know what's fun about this is since I have no notes, I didn't even know what the last segment was going to be, and I forgot until you just told me.
So are you excited?
Yeah, now I'm fired up.
Are you excited? Because we got some good mailbag questions from all over America. You can
set the stage.
Yeah, I'm going to set the stage. So you can ask anything. Email us in the Lupica at gmail.com. Lupica spelled with 2 O's. In the Lupica at gmail.com. Email us any questions. It can be a would you rather. It can be a sports question. It could be anything.
Hey, could they tweet at us?
Yeah, tweet us at in the Lupica spelled with 2 O's.
Shout out to Kevin Seraphin
for follow. Yeah,
following us.
Seraphin. I'm kind of upset none of us took Seraphin in.
But did any of you guys see
draft?
that game in 2012 where he went off in Orlando? I think it was 24-10.
What did I see that game? I got his home and a wager back in my room at home.
Seraphin, you are literally the best friend of the podcast. So,
but you follow 18,000 people.
I know.
What is his feed like?
I know. That kind of bummed me out.
Like when he wakes up in the morning, it must be exhausting to get through.
He must just not look at it. So, I don't get following over 1,000 people.
Can you guys stop bad-mouthing the French League Most Improved Player 2010? That'd be great.
Is he getting the French translation, or is he just Is he just listening to the chop?
We're huge in France.
Can we do the mailbag?
Yeah,
All right,
let's
we
get the mailbag. So these aren't for anybody specific. Who wants the first mailbag question?
Well, first of all, we were supposed to do them blind, but you guys have both read them, so I'm the only one going blind.
I got a little sneak peek.
All right.
So just raise your hand. Somebody raise your hand. Who wants the first question?
I'll do it.
Zach.
Give it to me.
Okay. First mailbag question is for Zach. Would you rather let Floyd Mayweather throw one punch to your gut or watch Les Miserables 100 times in a row? That's John from Koreatown.
That's pretty easy. I'm going Floyd Mayweather there 100 times out of 100.
I agree with
And
that.
I'm just praying that nothing seriously injures me because I'm, not that strong.
Yeah,
physically.
I guess the one thing you're worried about is, internal bleeding and death.
I mean, 100 times. Do you realize how many times that is?
That's like 300 hours of gorgeous Hugh Jackman serenading.
I do like Hugh Jackman. Wow.
No, I mean, but you'd have to worry about, it's just what's worse, the recovery time from the hit or the 300 hours you have to spend watching Les Miserables?
And the therapy.
Is it Miserables?
Miserables.
Oh, that's not.
Oh, no. Let's not get into this.
What's up, Kevin Seraphin?
Shout out to Seraphin. Okay, so Chris, second question is to you.
I'm ready. Fire.
What would it take bribery-wise for each of you to eat a Peyton Manning bobblehead, assuming Dr. James Andrews is standing right next to you through the whole process? That's Nick from Greenwich.
I just hate the eating stuff thing. I don't know.
It would be tough to eat.
Answer the question.
Maybe a little sriracha on there?
Yeah, you throw some sriracha on. You could break it up. Listen, it's not going to be fun. So what's the price tag is the question.
I would do it for 10 grand.
That's very low.
I was going to go lower.
10
Really?
grand?
10 grand? Dude, eating a bobblehead would not be fun.
Yeah, I don't know. 10 grand. I do it for
Okay,
10 grand.
yeah, you're 10 grand.
If the readers or listeners want to put it up.
Would you be able to, cut the bobblehead up?
To, really small pieces?
Yeah.
That
I
would
don't think
be-
I can eat the full bobblehead.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's also different size bobblehead. Either way.
You're going sriracha?
Yeah, well, I'd switch it up. I'd probably put sriracha on it and then dip the whole thing in ranch, both.
Yeah.
I love the hot sauce.
You got to
ranch.
really get the flavor going for a
Yeah,
bobblehead.
yeah.
All right, so you're doing it for 10 grand. I was thinking six figures.
Jeez. I mean,
Is he in a Colts or a Broncos jersey?
You make, a ton of money.
Yeah, I'm
10
extremely
grand to me
well
is
paid.
$20 for you.
Zach makes six figures for this podcast alone.
I don't get why we
It's
don't.
not
get paid.
enough, boys.
Okay, so I'll answer this one. Alex, would you rather have Zach or Chris posterize you in a game of pickup basketball, assuming 8-foot hoops because you guys are all midgets?
Whoa.
Yeah, that's kind of...
None of us are.
That's
We
John.
prefer small people.
That's John
We're all
from...
undersized.
Will you let me finish? That's John from Hardo University, which is not a real college. So, guys, take this seriously, okay?
I am.
Listeners, no, I'm talking to our listenership.
Oh.
This is serious. This is really tough. Obviously, you don't want either of you to posterize me. I'm going to take Chris just because Zach is a more gracious winner. Always has been.
So you'd rather have me posterize you?
Yeah, I'd rather take it from you.
Yeah. I would throw it on you so hard.
I don't think I could dunk on an 8-foot hoop.
Oh, yeah, no chance.
No
Oh,
chance.
my God.
Yeah, what am I wearing? What do I got, stilts on?
Okay.
Give me
Zach's
one.
phone
Give
is
me one.
blowing up over there, by the way.
Yeah. Are you getting... This isn't live.
Can you give me
What's
another
up,
question?
Courtney Cox?
That's Cox's second shout out of the show. Okay.
I thought you guys were going to get creative with the second one. That was brutal.
This
Keep
one
going.
is for Zach. Who would you rather have over for a Sunday family dinner, Delonte West or the Honey Badger? That's Rich from New York.
I would go with Delonte West just because he seems like a stand-up guy, first of all. And second of all, I would really want to just chop up the whole, Delonte West and Mrs. James situation, see if, what kind of truth there is there.
You think he'd be honest about it and, tell you?
Yeah, Delonte would tell me anything. Are you kidding?
I feel like you and Honey Badger would have more to talk about.
No,
Do you know Delonte West applied for a job at Home Depot during the NBA lockout?
Did he get it?
They asked if he had ever been arrested, and the question was, and he said yes. The next question was why. He wrote misunderstanding. But really, he
Aren't
had
they
guns
all?
in a violin case on the back of a motorcycle.
Not everybody has a super successful podcast, Chris, that they can just live off of.
I still don't understand why Zach makes all the money for the podcast. We get nothing.
Don't worry about it. Less questions is more for you guys.
Okay, this one for C Loop. How will Drake do hosting the ESPYs? That's Naj from Connecticut.
How will
What
Drake
kind of
do?
name is Naj?
Is there a
First-
G at the front of Naj?
Wait.
Like Naj?
No, it's just N-A-J.
Ganache. How
Next week,
excited is
Drake.
Drake for the LeBron decision to try to involve himself in some way? I was thinking about that today. How soon after does he come out with a brutal song about coming home?
I know. You think it's going to be song heavy? Like, I think Drake is kind of brutal in these situations. Like, people kind of like the SNL hosting gig he did. I really didn't. Like, I think it
haven't
seems
seen
forced.
that.
I think Drake thinks he's funnier than he is. I hope he got some good writers. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm
See,
sure he
I'm a
does.
Drake fan, and I'm super nervous because he's gonna get. You know, he's
Who
gonna
hosted
get.
last year?
He's gonna get ripped no matter what. I'm not sure.
Luis Scola?
I think it was Stan Van Gundy.
No, it was Riggle.
Oh, it was Riggle. And I just remember he started slow, and then he took off. Riggle's hilarious.
Riggle takes a while to warm it up.
So that's a tough act to follow for Drake. I'm worried about him. John. Hey, John, can you pay attention? Our producer, John, is doing God knows what, but he's not listening to the show.
Oh, he just texted me that John Hamm hosted the ESPYs last
Yeah,
year.
I knew Riggle was 2 years ago.
Okay,
Riggle
so you
was
were
2 years
doing
ago.
something?
All right,
Productive?
All right, that a boy, handsome
Okay,
John.
Riggle 2 years ago, Ham last
If
year.
he wasn't so handsome, we'd have to get somebody
Handsome
else.
Jay. So, okay, the last one is for Zach.
Sure.
Okay, theoretically speaking, if Harry Potter were a blue-chip quarterback, which team would you envision drafting him and why? Note that all his baggage would come along with him. So Potter, the blue-chip quarterback, that's Arthur from Kalamazoo.
First of all, Arthur, grow up and ask a better question next time. But I think it's pretty obvious. It's the
I don't
Minnesota
get it.
Vikings.
The Vikings draft Potter.
100%.
Why?
He just, he's got that feel to him. Minnesota, he'd be perfect. He'd look gorgeous in purple.
He's just that next in the series of brutal Vikings quarterbacks.
It's like, I don't understand how it could not be the Vikings.
Yeah, it's just like we go, Ponder, then we go Potter.
Potter's mentally really soft. I don't think he would handle the position.
He'd be
well.
nasty, dude.
You think he'd be good?
He'd be able
Yeah.
to use magic?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, that's not really fair.
That's ridiculous. And the last one, so sorry, I said that was the last for Zach. We have one more for Chris.
Yes.
I mean, these things keep coming in.
Yeah, they are flooding in. This one is from Mick Diggins from Venice Beach. And the question is, would you rather be able to fly 10 miles an hour or run 100 miles an hour, and why?
Oh, my God. Can I pass?
No.
I'll take it.
It's pass. Zach?
Answer the question.
I don't know. Flying would be cool. I don't like the idea. Like, I don't know. Which one would get me where I was going faster? The running, right? Yeah, 100 miles an hour against 10.
Yeah, the flying is just kind of like veg.
Would I be able
enjoyable.
to avoid people, or would I just be constantly running into people in New York City? That'd be annoying.
I think the agility factor is the same as if you're running full speed, like now, regularly. Like you have that same ability to control yourself.
Yeah,
So
I'll take 100 miles an hour just because, the convenience thing, plus people see a guy flying around. I don't know. They don't want to hang out with that guy.
Do you think they'd let you play in pro sports?
That's
if you
what I
ran
was
it?
going to ask. Because either way, it'd be really good.
We got Harry Potter doing wizardry for the Minnesota Vikings, so sure, you can play pro sports.
Yeah, we got Kloop running routes at 100 miles an hour out there.
We are suspending disbelief
the
here.
next mailbag, guys.
In the
Let's
loop.
get it going.
Yeah, pick it up out there. McDiggins,
Mick Diggins,
Arthur.
is that a real? If you guys are sending in fake names,
Naj.
come on, this is a.
Ganache.
The
what's-
Moose from Midtown. Come on.
Clean it up. Step it up.
Yeah, clean
We're
it.
out here running a world-famous podcast. Zach's getting paid 6 figures, and we need some better mailbag
I'm only allowed to
questions.
have $20 at a time, so I don't know.
That's true. All right, that wraps up episode 3 of the In the Loop podcast. We'll all be checking Twitter incessantly. This podcast probably has a half-life of about 1 day because it's all probably going to go down tomorrow. Thanks for hanging with us. As always, we will see you next week.